Hello everyone, my name is Nicole. I'm from Listen to the Stars. Thank you so much, Nadiya, for having me on your channel. I'm so excited to speak to all of you today, and today I'm actually going to present a little bit of a lesson about Rahu. This particular video is actually inspired by my Rahu makeover video. I actually turned myself into the planets based off of the description of the planets in the ancient Vedic texts. And as I was working on my Rahu makeover video, I was really getting a full Rahu experience. This happens anytime I turn myself into a planet. And so a lot of what I'm talking about will reference kind of my experiences during this makeover video, and I'll mention it. So I just wanted to quickly let you guys know that this video kind of was deeply inspired by that whole process of turning myself into the planet Rahu and trying to fully understand what this planet was all about. Rahu is also known as the north node of the moon, and there are two nodes of the moon. One is the north, one is the south, so they're always going to be together. And basically, the nodes of the moon are these mathematical points where the path of the moon, or where the moon hits and intersects the path of the sun. Where the moon crosses that path of the sun, or the ecliptic, when it's traveling from south to north, is actually the north node of the moon, which is Rahu, which we're going to speak about today. Rahu and Ketu actually represent our points of karma in our birth chart. Ketu is showing us where we have already been, and Rahu is showing us where we're going. Rahu and Ketu are also a serpent. So Rahu is the head of the serpent, and Ketu is the tail. And in Vedic astrology, Rahu and Ketu were cut in half, and so that is why they really retain that imagery and that individualization of Rahu being just the head and Ketu being the tail. And there are different interesting characteristics that they have because of that. And then finally, Rahu relates to the number 8 in numerology. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what that numerology is. Some other indications that are worth mentioning are that Rahu and Ketu oftentimes symbolize reincarnation and the karma that each individual has to play out in this lifetime. And Rahu is really going to show us where we're growing towards, and Ketu is going to kind of show us what we've already conquered or what we've already completed and just need to perfect in this lifetime. Some of you guys might have a really heavy Rahu influence in your chart. You might have Rahu in your first house, or Rahu with your ascendant lord, Rahu with your sun, or if you're familiar with Vedic astrology terminology, you might even have Rahu with your Atmakaraka or soul planet. If you are any of these people, you're going to have a really huge Rahu influence in your life, and learning more about how to work with Rahu is really going to help you. I personally have my Lagna Lord with Rahu, so a lot of these different keys that I'm going to talk about today for working with Rahu are really going to help you, because I know they've helped me a lot. Some of you are also going to really relate to this video because you might be having a really important Rahu transit. So Rahu might be transiting your first house, or you might be going through a Rahu return where Rahu returns to the position where it was when you were born, or a reverse return where Rahu goes to where Ketu was when you were born. And so during these moments too, it's really nice to learn how to work with Rahu, also including Rahu maturation. But all of us are going to have to deal with Rahu at some point, because all of us go through our Rahu maturation at 42. So between the ages of 41 and 42 is when your Rahu maturation is. We all have to go through that. So it's really good to know how to deal with Rahu before that point so that you can have a healthy Rahu maturation. Let's start with the numerology. I study a system called the Cards of Truth. I actually teach classes in the Cards of Truth, and one of the things that we learn is that Rahu is related to the number 8. And there are 8 different cards, We have 4 different cards that all relate to the number 8. We can use the Cards of Truth to really help us understand how to work with Rahu. So I'm going to be using a little bit of the Cards of Truth and a little bit of astrology. So if you feel like your Rahu issues, or the things that you are having too many expectations with, or the things that you feel are just really karmic and beyond your control, if you feel that those issues are related to your love life, then you have the 8 of Hearts to help you. And the 8 of Hearts card is really about finding emotional equilibrium within yourself. It's having this understanding that no matter what happens on the outside world, you can find a peace of calm, or you can find a sense of calm and peace within yourself. So if you have Rahu issues related to your love life, maybe you have Rahu transiting your 7th house, for instance, or maybe your natal Rahu is in the 7th or even perhaps in the 1st house, understanding this 8 of Hearts can be really, really helpful. It's really telling you to hang in there, that the storms always die down at some point, that there will be calm again, and there's always a place of peace and calm within yourself that you can go to during these difficult times. You don't necessarily need to rely on someone. And it's also a message of what we create internally for ourselves on an emotional level is going to show up in the external world. So if you're single and you're trying to attract someone, the first thing you should be doing is working on your own emotional security, because it's like having 2 4 of Hearts. Emotional security within will create emotional security outside of yourself. So work on your own emotional security with the hope and the knowledge that that will attract emotional security externally. Now, if you are going to be dealing with Rahu issues that are really just about yourself and your self-growth, so maybe you're having a nodal return or a reverse nodal return, or you have natal Rahu in your 1st house, or Rahu transiting your 1st house, you really want to look towards the 8 of Spades. The 8 of Spades is actually one of my favorite cards, and when I first learned about this card, it was so challenging for me to figure out what it even meant. This is really the card of getting your internal world to be peaceful and calm so that your external world will be peaceful and calm. And one of the best things to do with this card is really to just be still, just sit in nature, to just examine how nature, how animals and plants and trees, they aren't trying to be anything else but who they really are. A tree is not trying to be a flower is not trying to be a bird. So why are you trying to be anything other than what you truly are? All that success, all that ambition, all those things that you're really pushing yourself to do, those are all extra. All you have to really be, the only thing that you truly have to do is to be yourself and to work from what's true and honest for yourself. The red 8s have to deal with the hangman. So they're really telling you, hang in there, right? So with the 8 of Hearts, hang in there emotionally. This storm is going to pass. The black 8s relate to the Chariot. That's movement forward. And the 8 of Spades is inner movement. Sometimes it's better to quit doing things externally and start doing things internally, and understand that internal movement can create way more change than anything you could possibly be doing on the outside. So that's the Jail card. You just have to stay still, observe nature, and just be who you truly are, because that is all that you really can be. Anything else is just kind of a lie that you're telling yourself. If you are having issues financially, so say that you just really are having Rahu in your 2nd house or your 8th house transiting, or you have a natal Rahu in your 2nd or 8th house, even your 11th house, honestly, the 8 of Diamonds is going to be your best friend. And this is my birth card. And so it's also one of the cards that kind of eludes me at times because it is me. But the 8 of Diamonds is another hang in there. It's the hangman. Hang in there. And what it's trying to say is your preparation will meet opportunity. So if the opportunity is not there, keep preparing. Work on your skills. Work on your self-worth. Once your self-worth is to the level where it should be, or it needs to be, everything else is going to fall into place. That opportunity will come. If there's no opportunity, keep preparing. If you're done preparing and there's an opportunity, then take the opportunity. That's the message with this card. So hang in there. Then we have another card of movement with the Chariot. So if you're having some Rahu issues related to your creativity, to your sense of belief, so maybe Rahu's in the 5th house or the 9th house transiting, or it's like that in your birth chart, you really need the 8 of Clubs, which is actually one of the cards of foreign travel. So is the 8 of Spades, because it's about movement. But the 8 of Clubs is really that external, like using that energy in an external way. So it's really saying, move forward. Move forward with your ideas. Move forward with your beliefs. Don't let anything hold you back. If you are so inspired, if you truly want to make this piece of art happen, don't let anyone or anything from the outside tell you anything different. Just let it flow. This is one of the ultimate cards of letting it flow. Same with your beliefs. Let them flow. Don't let anything restrain or hold them back. Move things forward. So movement and hanging in there, those are the biggest messages. And these are all really going to help with these 4 areas of life that are shown with the cards. Now, another key to working with Rahu is to understand that Rahu and Ketu are a polarity. So you're always going to have Ketu when you have Rahu. And the thing about that is there's always going to be astrologers that say you need to go away from your Ketu and towards your Rahu. The key that I'm teaching you here is to not think that way. So if you are really learning about Rahu right now and you're watching all these YouTube videos and they're saying, okay, leave your Ketu behind, move towards your Rahu, it's not always that simple, and a really skilled astrologer will be able to help you kind of peel apart exactly your path with Rahu and Ketu. But what Rahu and Ketu are actually really telling you to do is to integrate, okay? So to integrate that polarity. So if Ketu's in the 6th and Rahu's in the 12th, you need to integrate that 6th house energy with that 12th house energy. If that 6th house is in the sign of Cancer and the 12th house is in the sign of Capricorn, you also need to learn how to integrate your Cancer and your Capricorn. And the integration is really important because we're actually moving from Rahu back to Ketu. Numerologically, Rahu is 8 and Ketu is 9. So if we were really supposed to move from Ketu to Rahu, wouldn't Ketu be 8 and Rahu be 9? It's not like that. So what we're really doing is we're really trying to integrate that. We're really trying to perfect wherever Ketu is and have our new experiences wherever Rahu is and bring that perfection together with the wisdom that we've gained from wherever Rahu is and learn how to integrate them so that they really work together, so that they really do flow together and not just be bounced around back and forth. So the key that I'm teaching you here is to understand that you're not moving away from Ketu and towards Rahu, that you're really perfecting wherever Ketu is, growing in your Rahu so that you can bring that Rahu wisdom back into your Ketu. And really, if you are in one of your last lifetimes, or if you're really interested in spiritual evolution so that you can evolve and you can move beyond this Rahu and Ketu axis that has been presented to you in this lifetime. The next key is to really understand that Rahu is uncharted territory. So whenever you're dealing with a Rahu issue, so if Rahu is exactly conjuncting a planet, or it's because of an eclipse that you're having so much misery or challenge in your life, or maybe you're just trying to maximize your opportunities and you realize that this opportunity has been brought to you by an eclipse or brought to you by a Rahu transit or your Rahu maturation, it's really important for you to understand the quality of Rahu I was mentioning earlier, that Rahu is uncharted lands. Ketu is what we've already conquered, and Rahu is what we have yet to conquer. It's outside of our comfort zone. It's stuff that makes us feel like nervous because it's so unusual for us. If you know that in advance, you can have so much more fun with Rahu, and you can kind of let go of a lot of the worries and concerns that you have. Like if you know that you're going to start a job and you're probably going to fail and you're going to make a ton of mistakes, it's a lot more fun than getting there thinking that you're going to be perfect and feeling disappointed every single step of the way. This is the same if your Lagna Lord is with Rahu and you think that you're just going to have this perfect, easy life where you go to high school, get your diploma, go to college, study, get a job in the field that you studied, get married to your college boyfriend, and then just continue that path the rest of your life. You got to be kidding yourself, because Rahu is going to have so many ups and downs, and if you can just embrace that path of ups and downs, depending on exactly on your specific birth chart, you can have a lot more fun, and you can think of life as an adventure rather than life being a failure because you got divorced 3 times, or you changed your major 20 times, or you changed your career 10 times. Knowing that Rahu is bringing the unexpected and Rahu is going to be something that you don't have experience in is really going to help you to be able to embrace that and to think of it in a different way. I had that exact experience when I made the Rahu makeover video. I was feeling really uncomfortable with the outfits that I chose at first and really uncomfortable with the whole concept that I was bringing up. But when I realized that I was making this Rahu video and it was about Rahu and that I needed to let myself be uncomfortable, everything started to come together. So let yourself be uncomfortable, let yourself stretch yourself, and embrace that Rahu's trying to allow you to grow. Rahu is trying to get you to grow and evolve. So whenever I'm having a Rahu problem, and that could even be in my cards of truth, if I'm running a very strong 8 during a certain period, and I'm really struggling during that period, I know that this is a period ruled by Rahu, and that I need to remember that Rahu's trying to get me to evolve. What is evolution? Evolution is taking you from who you are right now into a better version of yourself. So I don't know if any of you are really young, but some of you might have seen Pokemon. So Pokemon go through these evolutionary processes where they change into different, better, stronger, more capable Pokemon. And so that's basically what Rahu is trying to get you to do. It's trying to get you to go from this version of yourself into a much more better, more fluent, more amazing, more powerful, more strong version of yourself. So when you're feeling really, really challenged by a Rahu event or opportunity, understand that this is Rahu doing this. Rahu's trying to get you to evolve and grow and stretch yourself. And where are you just hanging on to your fears instead of allowing yourself to grow and evolve? And what is the lesson you're trying to learn in this? Or what is the lesson that is being presented to you to learn? And ask yourself how you can learn that lesson faster. And ask yourself how you're holding yourself back from growth. The number before 8 is 7, and 7 is the number of Saturn. And so at Saturn, we really break down our ego and we deal with our fears. So if you're really struggling with Rahu, it's really an opportunity for you to get better at your Saturn. Get rid of your ego and face your fears. Deal with your fears so that you can grow, so that you can evolve. And that's probably the biggest thing that I think is helpful when people are really struggling with Rahu, is to go back to Saturn. See if your ego is getting in the way of your growth. See if your fears are getting in the way of your growth. When I was making this Rahu makeover video, I literally had one of my biggest fears in my life come true that exact same week. And Rahu is gonna force you to deal with your Saturn if you haven't yet, so that you can properly evolve and grow in your Rahu. I hope that makes sense. The next point that I want to make is that Rahu is a shadow planet and he obscures everything. So if you're in a Rahu cycle or a Rahu maturation and things aren't very clear, this is simply a clue to yourself to allow yourself to become more conscious and more awake. So people say like, this person's woke, that person isn't woke, right? It's because Rahu is this like shadow planet obscuring things, trying to mystify things so we can't see them. Whenever you have a Rahu problem, you need to remain as conscious as possible. So do meditation, really think things through in a very clear, logical way. Don't let this shadowness obscure you, because if you can become clear during these Rahu times, you can become clear when you're not in your Rahu. So really, Rahu cycles are opportunities for us to really work on our consciousness, really work on being awake, and really allow ourselves to strengthen that so that when we're not in a Rahu process, we can be conscious as well. Rahu can expand anything that it touches. So if you're going through a Rahu cycle and things are just getting out of control, understand that you can go too far. So if Rahu's in your 7th house, I had this transit once before as well. I was dating like 1,000 people. I was dating like 5 people at one time. If you're having problems in your love life and you know that Rahu is causing this, you can look and you can say, well, I'm probably overdoing it in this area, and try to kind of cut back a little, try to restrain or refrain, or at least be conscious of the fact that you're probably overdoing it. And be really careful of overdoing things in the area of life where Rahu is presenting itself, especially in transit. So understand that Rahu is going to kind of expand and make crazy, like overdo the areas where he is. And if that is causing your stress or anxiety, then you have control over kind of managing that, bringing in more of that K2 and allowing yourself to kind of restrain and refrain a little bit. And then finally, I already kind of mentioned this, but I'm just going to mention this again. Rahu is going to make you face your fears. Saturn is a planet of fears, but if you haven't dealt with your Saturn properly, Rahu is going to bring your fears back up. And Rahu actually does, in many texts, relate to your fears, okay? And illusions and things that aren't really, really real. When you have strong Rahu, your fantasies can become so out of control that you start to believe them. So it's like they become so out of control that they turn into your Saturn. When you're in a Rahu cycle, or you're running a strong 8 in your cards of truth, and you know this, just be aware, be conscious that some of what you're getting obsessed with, Rahu is obsession, or some of the things that are causing anxiety or trouble in your life might actually be within your own head and not really real. Rahu is illusion. And this can help so much when dealing with Rahu, because you can start to peel apart what's the illusion, what's the fake thing, and what's the real thing that's actually super important for you to deal with. And that can really make life easier and simpler, because Rahu periods definitely aren't easy or simple. And trust me, during the making of this makeover video, I probably slept like 3 hours a night. So it can get out of control, it can get messy, it can get wild, but just having an understanding of what Rahu is can help you to understand maybe how to manage this energy better and what your responsibilities are in this situation. And what your responsibilities are related to these 4 cards we talked about, depending on the area of life, as well as you understanding that you are trying to evolve and grow as a soul on this planet and become better than you were when you first arrived here. And you have lessons to learn in order to do that. So how are you going to do that in the best, most effective way? How are you going to allow yourself to grow beyond the limitations, Saturn, number 7, to this amazing person that you have the absolute ability to be, which is the number 8, Rahu, so that you can transcend your spirituality and transcend the cycle of rebirth, which is K2, the number 9. Rahu is that key, and Rahu is this amazing place, and if you can really access this amazing place, you can feel like you're in the eye of the storm. Comment below and share with me and Nadiya what you guys have found through your own Rahu experiences. If you have a very strong Rahu in your chart, share below so that other people can read what that's like. If you're older than 42, share with the younger generations how you dealt with your Rahu and how you made the most of it, or how you let it kind of take over your life, because Rahu can take over your life if you're not careful. And of course, if you are really confused about exactly what to do with your Rahu, you can definitely get an appointment from a very skilled astrologer, tarot card reader, or life coach to help you with your Rahu issues. So that's all that I have to share today about Rahu. Thank you again so much, Nadiya, for having me on your channel. For those of you who didn't know what I was talking about when I was talking about the Cards of Truth, I actually do teach a course in the Cards of Truth. I'm starting again on April 22nd of 2019. So you can check out my website, NicoleBrenny.com, which is listed below, so you can learn more about that. It's really a fascinating system, and it's really helped me to understand all of the planets better, including Rahu. So thanks again. Have a wonderful time, and I will be seeing you guys on Nadiya's channel in the comments, because I love her channel and I will be watching it. So I will see you guys there. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you soon. Bye.